poppin'? What's happening with it? It's Monday.
Yeah, what she said. Welcome back to Black in the City. And I'm Makeda as per usual.
And I'm Sierra as every Monday and every 365. That's me. Unless I'm pimping, but you know.
I can't stand her.
Yes.
It is episode 27.
27. We almost 30. We gotta do something big for 30. Like, I don't know. Like,
we have a dirty 30 party or something.
Yeah, like really blow it up. That's a real thing.
Now Mia want to call us back.
Right. So as always, this episode is brought to you by the Broken Kids brand. Mm-hmm. They have some great apparel. Great as in Black in the City podcast apparel. Now we have our t-shirts on the main page, as well as sweatshirts. So hop on down to www.brokenkidsbrand.com. They are starting the mental health conversation in urban communities, and you know we love to talk about mental health.
Yeah,
because
we do.
It's great. No Tony the Tiger. So check that out, and also follow them at Broken Kids Brand, just as it's spelled phonetically, on Instagram.
Come on with the big words. Come on, phonetically.
Yeah, so let's get this party started.
Ooh, as usual, Sierra, what is making you happy?
What's making me happy? Come on, man. You know, what's making me happy is, you know, just being able to be alive and having friends that, like, legit give me, like, deep belly laughs.
Yeah, laugh from your soul.
I'm so into it. And I slept a lot this weekend, which is something that I don't do often. So, that's what's making me happy. Oh, and food. You know, food makes me happy. What about you?
I did eat good this weekend too. What's making me happy? Well, as per usual, my friends are always make me happy. I had some really good quality friend time this weekend.
Really?
Except none with you.
Yeah, you didn't hang out with me, so that I'm curious to know how you had quality friend time. Like,
well, you had work. What do you want?
Usually, I'm the only friend. But go ahead.
I have to have other friends because you be working, and I
have to make this money to feed our family.
Yeah, you do. So I need to be entertained.
I'm tired of working on Aurora. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Bring it in the house.
Yeah.
Stop prostituting. Okay.
Hey, you know, get it how you live it.
I hung out with Angelina and Daphne this weekend. Shout out to you guys. And we cooked. Daphne made jollof rice and
oh wow,
yeah.
Wow,
and I made
things
some
they do
chicken.
when I'm not there.
I know. Don't hate. Just appreciate.
You made some chicken.
I did make some chicken to go with it.
Damn chicken.
First of all, I'm over you. And we watched Game of Thrones for like 8 hours. Shit you not. That was really fun. And then I hung out with my sister on Sunday, and we went and had brunch, and we hung around, and you know went to try the Salt and Straw, which is a new ice cream place in Cap Hill, which is really, really yummy. It's right across from Honey Hole, if anybody knows where that is.
Oh, I know where that is.
Honey Hole is good.
Next
to Babeland, yeah, because I went there too.
Okay, girl, you will get it how you live it. Hell.
And it was really good. But we ate at this place in Cap Hill called Trove. It's like Trove. Literally never would have seen it. I think Obi just like Googled and found it. But they've got a monster happy hour, or they call it a monster hour. It's literally every day. And it's like an Asian kind of themed place. But for $5 during this monster hour, you get a beer, a shot, and dumplings. Like 3 dumplings for $5.
Really?
Yeah, and that host slapped. So
I'll pass on the beer, but
yeah, the dumplings. Yeah, it was really, really good. So that's what I did. So I definitely ate well this weekend. So life is pretty good.
Wait, they don't have Red Stripe?
They probably do. I don't know.
Turn up on it then.
It was good. So we can go there. It was really pleasant.
That's lovely.
Yeah, and it was $3 off their noodle dishes. Anyway, we talking about them. Shout out to Trove and our favorite bartender, Alex. He was lit. He makes his own ginger beer. Life is good. We hung out with him. He was pretty cool.
Shout out to him, you know?
Yeah, so we'll just get right into it. I have a lot of things to talk about today, you guys.
Talk about it. There seems like there's a lot that's going on in the world.
There is. And I've been taking it pretty light, you know, the past couple of weeks. Not talking about too much stuff, but I'm here to shit on everybody, so.
We haven't talked about,
no, we're still not talking about Donald Trump.
Captain Wig.
Yeah, we're still not talking about that wig. So. We're not. I still don't care. We're still not talking about him, so we won't.
Right.
But first things first, going on.
I'm the realist.
Hey. Okay, stop. I can't stand her, you guys. So, if you guys have been paying attention, there's some bombing going on in Austin, Texas, and it's not pleasant. Everybody else is making me laugh, but in Austin, Texas, there's been these package bombs going on. They started on March 2nd, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
So far, 4 people have been injured. So there's been a series of bombs, okay? So let me give you the background on what's happening. So in Austin, Texas, there have been 4 package bombs. The first 2 were left on the doorstep two black people. Like, so the first one was an older man. His name, let me find it, you guys. This is a really long article and there's so much information, but I don't want to say anybody's name wrong because it's important and everybody is relevant. Okay. So they have occurred in a ring outside of like downtown Austin, basically, around UT. So the first two bombs were deadly. So Anthony Stephen House, he was a 39-year-old construction worker. He was killed on March 2nd. Then 10 days later, Draylen Mason was a 17-year-old high school student, a black boy, and he was killed in an explosion that also injured his mother. So both House and Mason were really like prominent and active members in the black community in Austin. They've got a lot of family, and people are really, scared that these bombs have been happening because people are black, right? So like racially motivated bombings because they've been happening in communities of color. So then actually literally hours after Draylen Mason was killed on the 12th, a third bomb went off, which seriously injured a woman named Esperanza Herrera, and she was a 75-year-old Hispanic woman who was visiting her mother. And the reason why, and that bombing kind of puzzled the people that are investigating, so whatever the bomb squad is, because it was addressed to a different house, and it apparently exploded while she was carrying it. So I don't really understand or know why she was carrying somebody else's mail. Who knows? It might have been dropped off on the wrong doorstep, or she was taking it to someone because it was delivered wrong, and then it exploded while she was carrying it, trying to be a good Samaritan. Who knows? So first, police thought it was an isolated incident when the first bomb went off, and then obviously they very quickly changed their tune when the second and third bombs went off. As for what happened yesterday, on Sunday, another bomb, a fourth bomb, has gone off Sunday night, which was really not ironic, but it went off hours, like literally 3 hours after the Austin police actually made a public appeal on the case. So they were on TV doing a press conference, basically asking. They increased the reward for information up to $100,000, and they've also offered $15,000. The governor, Greg Abbott, has offered another $15,000 for information. And so what happened on Sunday was that it was detonated by a tripwire. And the reason why this brings like a lot more, it should be raising a lot of questions to begin with, but the fact that it was a tripwire raises a lot of concerns because it could happen to anyone. Like that means it's not directed at like one group of people or one person, because anybody could walk by and detonate the tripwire. So whoever's doing it is literally just like, I don't really care. He's just trying to damage people and doesn't care who the people are, just basically trying to cause mayhem.
Literally sick.
Yeah, and it makes no sense. So a lot of people were arguing like if the first two bombings had happened, in a rich white area, that we would have heard about it a lot faster, which I would argue was true. It took until the second and third bomb. Actually, no, it took until the third bomb before I saw like actual like Washington Post or CNN really covering it. The first two I had to see on Twitter and through the Root actually to say like, no one is talking about this and it's an issue. But my problem with the way that this is being covered, so obviously all of our thoughts and prayers go to the family, and we're also thinking about Austin, and hopefully that the police are able to figure out what's going on before any more bombs go off, because that's obviously not what we don't want to see anybody else get hurt. But my problem is that they're calling whoever the bomber is. So we literally know nothing about the bomber. We don't know if it's a male or female. We don't know race. We don't know anything like that. But what is ridiculous to me is that they're calling it a serial bomber. And for me, I feel like we are so quick to use the word terrorist
for other people,
for other things. And I don't actually care the race of this person, right? We don't know anything. But this is exactly like what terrorism is about. Terrorism is not tied to a race or a nationality, yet somehow the way we use the word is always exclusively tied to a particular nationality or ethnicity, right? Always when it's a Middle Eastern person, we say terrorism no matter what it is. Like literally nothing could happen, and we're always thinking, oh, it could be linked to Al-Qaeda, it could be terrorism, when like, no. The definition of terrorism actually, and let's just look it up, right?
Absolutely.
The definition of terrorism.
Come on, quick fingers.
It's actually
fast. Shout out to Getting Grown.
Shout out to fourth grade Type to Learn. Okay. Terrorism is actually defined as the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims, right? Okay, great. We don't know if there's any political aims, but we're talking about violence and intimidation, especially against civilians. These are regular.
He's literally terrorizing
neighborhoods.
They are literally terrorizing other people because we don't even know who this person is, race, nationality, gender,
political
anything.
agenda,
but they're literally
any of that.
Terrorizing people. That is a terrorist.
Right. You cause terror in the people that you're attempting to do
killing
damage
people,
to.
bro. You're murder. There's so many words that you could call this person.
Absolutely. And so that's really what I just had to call out. Like, things happen and we don't even fucking know what's going on with the thing. And we're like, terrorism, terrorists, this person has to be linked to whatever they want to make up. Like, no.
Yeah.
Call terrorism what it is. These other white supremacists are also terrorists also, right?
Call a thing a thing.
Right. Call a spade, goddamn. That's what it is, okay?
Right.
And so that really upsets me, but I hope we figure it out. And then we can do further analysis when they find the person that's doing it, the reasons behind it. Then we can talk about it some more, because I'm sure the media is going to not do a great job as per usual.
Right.
But we're going to continue to cover the case. Hopefully it's not covering anything extra happening, but simply covering, the capture of the person who is doing the bombing.
Absolutely.
But, that's how I feel about that. And it just frustrates me so deeply. But
yeah, definitely, again, hearts go out to all those who are injured, lost a life, lost a family member, a loved one, because that is just, it's
ridiculous.
Crazy.
I can imagine that. Like, imagine
your
your baby being outside. Like, kids play outside. And so the Austin police are telling people to make sure, obviously, watch where you're walking, which I think is it's ridiculous. Like, how scared does it have to be thinking about, like, the steps that you're taking outside when you just want to mind your business and walk? Or, like, people are saying make sure if you see something that's suspicious, whether it's a backpack or a package or anything, like, if it's not for you or you don't know where it is, like, leave it alone. Call the police. Don't touch anything. But I can't even imagine, like, thinking about that. Do you know how many, like, packages we walk by? Or
right.
How many Amazon packages?
Yeah.
I'd be scared to have anything delivered. Like, how do you know somebody's not doing that in the mail, right? Or, like, who knows? Or you can order something and then somebody puts a bomb. I don't know. I need to not, lose my mind on that. Go down.
But, I mean, dang. At this point, it's crazy that we even have to think about that.
I know, so annoying. Anyway, up next, my, baby boo, Rihanna, she was in the news this week because
Snapchat is effing up.
Right, she's got all the influence, and Snapchat has been fucking up because they already changed the layout of Snapchat, and anybody who's an avid Snapchat user knows how upsetting that is.
Right. Watch your everything. I'm tired of the same people looking at my snaps.
I know, because
some fresh blood.
It makes no sense. Anyway, I don't even understand why Snapchat changed it. But here's what happened. On Thursday, Snapchat, so if people who don't have Snapchat, I feel like people know what it is in general. But on Snap, there's a thing called a Discover page. Mm-hmm. And on the Discover page, there's like a bunch of things from a bunch of different like news outlets and magazines. So like Cosmopolitan has a thing. Like, there's a gossip thing. There's, there's ads. There's all kinds, like BuzzFeed has things. So you can find a bunch of stuff. Even like CNN has Snapchat, right? So on the Discover page, you can find things. And so there was an ad on the Discover page, basically, that it was for the mobile game Would You Rather. So that's a separate app that was advertising through Snapchat on this Discover page. But it presented users with two options, and it was a picture of Rihanna, a picture of Chris Brown. It was like, would you rather slap Rihanna or punch Chris Brown, right?
Because that's so good.
Right, because that's something that we should be doing.
Right.
So then Rihanna, she already actually doesn't really like Snapchat to begin with, because she's just not good at it, and it's actually really funny if you ever watch her Snapchat. But here's what she said on Instagram. So she wrote a little post, and she said, "Now Snapchat, I know you already know you're not my favorite app out there, but I'm just trying to figure out what the point was with this mess. I'd love to call it ignorance, but I know that you ain't that dumb. You spent money to animate something that would intentionally bring harm and shame to domestic violence victims, and you made a joke of it." She said, "Shame on you." Okay, making sure I didn't miss anything if she said something funny. But here's the best part. Here's the tea, okay? She said that on Thursday.
What's the tea, girl?
Okay? So since she said that on Instagram on Thursday, their stock has gone down 4%, erasing nearly $800 million from its market value, okay?
Wow.
And so
Snapchat better change the layout back.
Okay?
I told them.
Like, no one cares about that shit. And Snap stock closed down 1% on Friday. So even though it might not sound like a lot, but the fact that she just had to complain, not even complain, once people saw like you're doing something that is ridiculously disrespectful, she spoke up against it. People were like, no, I can go ahead and delete the app. Don't need to use it. People pulled their stocks, like all kinds of things. Sorry, you guys. But yeah.
Stay with it.
I'm trying, man. It's just really funny. Okay. But it makes no sense. I just honestly don't understand what's going on with Snap's A&R. And so obviously Snap commented to CNN saying that the ad was disgusting.
It was disgusting, but who did it go through to get on the ad?
Precisely. So they're saying we're investigating how that happened so we can make sure that it never happens again. Basically. And so people are saying, yeah. And so they're saying like Snapchat, basically they're saying they dropped the ball on this ad. But what I'm trying to figure out is like, I know there are teams of people that dictate and like they dictate, screen, determine what goes up on the Discover page. So I don't know how many people it had to go through to actually be up for us as users to see it. And no one thought that was problematic.
They need to work on their focus groups, to be quite honest. Like, and also there somebody somewhere in some little bubble on the internet is going to find a way to blame this on Chris Brown,
which made no sense.
Makes no sense because Chris Brown did comment on it, like on like the shade room, and did like the prayer hands or whatever
to her comment. Yeah,
like I low key, and you know, another caveat.
Go ahead, girl.
To that,
what's the caveat?
It just. To this day, it's like 2018. That happened in 2009 or something, and people are still like going in on Chris Brown about
2009.
that. Yeah,
get over it.
Yeah, people are still going in on it, and for me, it's like I'm one person that advocates against domestic violence, but it's just kind of like. Obviously, Rihanna has already forgiven him.
They are friends.
So everybody else everybody else needs to stop acting like that you got beat up. Like if she forgave him, then and she's clearly healthy and happy. They're not together anymore.
Y'all wasn't in the car.
We all don't know what happened.
Right.
Which either one of them putting their hands on each other is not okay. But at the same time, y'all need to let it go.
Right.
Like for real.
That's how I feel about a lot of things, and especially in these kinds of scenarios. Like, what else do you want the person to do? And I actually saw a tweet that was talking about this, basically, and the tweet was saying, like, the reason why this guy, I don't know who it is, just random retweet, but he basically was saying, like, you better chill with them pretzels.
Stay with it.
He was saying, like, the reason why he thinks that people are so quick to hate on Chris Brown or continuously hate on Chris Brown is because they thought that he would like fall off into the abyss and like not continue to do well when this man was like, he never stopped hustling. He never stopped putting out music. Right. His career never, it didn't go into the toilet. Like he has been on, right? And so it's like, why are y'all so mad that you're watching him prosper? Like, I don't understand what else people want to happen besides this man pled guilty to it. Like did whatever. He didn't have to go to jail for it, but didn't he have to go to jail for it? Or did he go to jail? No? He went to jail? Okay, sorry. He went to jail, probation, all kinds of shit, did all the community service. When you say you're supposed to pay your debt to society, when he has paid the debt to society, let it go, right? Like, what else does he need to do except put out dope music and mind his business?
But see, this is the thing, though. At the end of the day, one thing you cannot deny is that man's talent. He can he can sing, he can dance. This nigga could be in the NBA if he wanted to.
Draw his ass off.
He's a freaking visual artist. Like, Chris Brown does everything. So mind your mama and get out of his business.
Right. And what blows me is like the same people that be so extra mad about Chris Brown be the same people be the first ones on the dance floor when Poppin' come on. Like,
right. Because I be out there.
That's my jam. Shout out to you, Angelina, because I know that's your favorite song.
I don't care what Angie likes.
Oh, wow, you guys heard it here first. But anyway, we have digressed from Rihanna and Snapchat, but shout out to the Rihanna Navy.
Influence
and all
matters.
The things. Oh no, we still got pencils. Shout out to the Navy and making sure that Snapchat had to feel that 800 million doesn't sound like a lot, but if it continues, or even for them to see like when you make a mistake that large, right? When you make a mistake that large, you will lose money. People aren't fucking around,
and people will lose millions of dollars every day from people's stupid mistakes. I'm certain somebody got fired.
Oh, I hope so.
And that's fine.
That's fine.
Not my business.
Not man.
I know I would never prove that, but whatever.
Well, because we know better.
What am I? Just a humble servant,
Shut
what do I know?
Up. Okay, so moving right along down my list, you guys. I got two more things I got to talk about. So we all know that a couple months ago, or not even a couple months ago, on Valentine's Day, there was a Parkland shooting in which 17 kids, I think actually 15 kids and 2 adults lost their lives at a school shooting because this guy, Nicholas something, we're not even going to say his name because we don't really care. It's not about him. So last Wednesday, schools, you guys have been seeing, students have been standing up for their rights to be safe at school. They've been planning all kinds of protests and walkouts. So the National Walkout Day for high school students was last Wednesday. And so it went actually really well. A lot of schools, New York City was one of the biggest ones. Florida, they showed out, obviously, because it was in Parkland. Schools all over the nation participated, even though teachers and a bunch of schools, were threatening to suspend kids for walking out. There were a lot of kids that were on, local news stations explaining or talking about why they felt they needed to walk out or why they felt that they need to stand up, which I think is ridiculous. Number one, I'm pissed that teachers and schools are trying to suspend kids for utilizing or
exercising their right.
Right, exercising their First Amendment right to protest. And every teacher should be as angry as these students are. So I don't understand when you go to school, when they teach you about, like when you're going to school to learn, right? You guys are teaching them about the First Amendment, learn that in, I don't know, sophomore year or freshman year of like U.S. history. And you learn that, you learn what your rights are. You talk about how America became America through protest, right? Like that through free speech. That's why we love the First Amendment so much in this country, is because everybody has the right to peacefully protest and assemble. So that for me, at face value, I have a problem with that. Number one. Number two, all over social media, very stupid, very misinformed people have decided to go ahead or were deciding on Wednesday and Thursday and Tuesday, preempting the walkout, to this hashtag that was called Walk Up, Not Out. And essentially, teachers and everybody else who's pushing this dumbass fucking hashtag were basically telling students, walk up to that person that doesn't have any friends, walk up to people and talk to them. Don't walk out and protest. Walk up to your other classmates, right? That sounds like it's not a bad idea, right? That doesn't sound insidious. That doesn't sound problematic, except for the fact that it is. We teach people to treat each other with kindness. You should not bully, right? That's why we have zero tolerance policies for bullying at schools. But what that statement says is that you are responsible for being shot at your school because you decided that you weren't going to speak to somebody. That is not my fucking job. I don't have to talk to every person because it's not my job. We shouldn't even be teaching kids to begin with that everybody needs to like you. You shouldn't bully anybody. But if I don't speak to that person who's alone, I shouldn't lose my life because of that, right? And that doesn't make sense. It's not their fault. That is the explicit choice of the shooter to decide to take people's lives. That is not their job. That's not their problem. It's not their responsibility. It's the same thing as when you say, well, what were you wearing to a rape victim? It doesn't fucking matter what they were doing. I don't deserve to die at school.
Right. And also, what do you say about the person who came in and killed all those, what was that shooting? It was like a bunch of like kids. Little babies. Like, but it was somebody that just came on campus and killed them. So
that's Sandy Hook.
That's Sandy Hook. So were those kids supposed to be like, hey, sit at our lunch table? No, like he walked up and killed them. So
kindergartners and first graders.
So like that's not a that's not a blanket. Like that's not it. Like yes, kids should be nice to each other. They should be nice to that kid that doesn't have anybody sit with that lunch. This, that, and the third. But that's what I'm saying. But to discourage kids exercising their First Amendment right and trying to say that this walking up is like the better solution. No, it's just like this. It's gun control. That's the thing. It's not about kids. It is about it. There's so many elements involved in it. But don't try to make it like it's a black and white issue because it's not. It's very gray.
Yeah. Don't all lives matter it. That's
what niggas
really
love to do.
Yeah. That's really the problem there.
Niggas being ignorant rightist or whatever the hell they are.
Right, whatever. But it doesn't make any sense. Just like you can be pro-gun control and still want common sense gun laws, like myself, I've said it a million times. You can be against bullying. I myself was picked on when I was younger. I stood up for people who were being bullied. And that, even if I didn't decide to do those things, like I wasn't going to school shooting nobody up. And I also don't think that if I decided that I wasn't going to defend somebody else, like I also don't deserve to die for that. And these are two different things. We should say no to bullying, but I don't need to then stand up against bullying to then stand up for gun rights. Those are two separate issues, and you can do both. You cannot bully people and also say that it shouldn't be regular fucking practice for a child to get an assault weapon, for anybody to get an assault weapon.
Right, especially somebody that has a history of mental illness. Now that needs to be taken into way more consideration. I don't even everybody has some kind of mental illness or whatever in some form or fashion. Everybody battles with that. I don't even trust myself with a gun. Not because of mental illness, but because I'm clumsy. So that just lets you know right there that everybody don't need a gun.
I've been to the gun range, and I swear the whole time I was at the gun range, I was like, just please don't accidentally shoot nothing. Just don't.
Right. I don't even like it.
Don't slip up.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I don't need no gun to protect my house.
You feel me?
A knife or something.
You need some nunchucks?
Yeah, I'll just get some nunchucks and some brass knuckles and go crazy, but no gun.
Absolutely.
Nah, I don't want to be that person.
It's annoying. And to anybody who thinks that walk up, not out is an acceptable thing to tell people, I encourage you to think about that again. I encourage you to think about what life was like when you were at school and how many times did you walk up to the person who was by themselves. And really, school shootings, especially for people who are older than us, like that wasn't the norm, but it's been the norm for like our generation at school. Like that's really like post-Columbine, that has become very, very common. And so there are people who don't even haven't had to experience what that feels like, or haven't been in a school where it's been locked down. I've experienced that, and like that's not something that's the norm for a lot of people. So they can take that for granted and just think that it's about bullying, and it's not just about bullying. So I just would encourage people to think twice about that, and we shouldn't be discouraging direct action. We should be encouraging direct action from our youth, right? They're getting kids involved and who want to vote and see change in their community when you want to talk about people who don't vote, but you've got kids who already are ready to push for gun control and vote for things and vote for the right kinds of representatives, but then yet somehow you want them to sit down. Like that's not how you get people engaged in the political system. This is what you want.
Right. And also, when you're thinking about it, think about if that was your kid in the school.
Period.
That kind of helps.
And that'll be that, right? We don't have to say nothing else.
You're not going to be like, oh my gosh, if God forbid if your kid got shot, oh my gosh, did they say hi to that kid? You know, you're going to be like, my kid didn't deserve to die.
Period. I don't give a fuck if they talk to the kid, right?
Right.
Whatever. Whew. Well, let's leave it at that, you guys. We're going to follow this gun control thing all the way through because they still talking about some dumb shit about putting guns in schools with teachers. So we're just going to follow that as it goes along. And last but not least, before we can go ahead and, we can start talking shit, I've got one last thing to give credit to the United States justice system for once. I can almost never give credit to them.
Too often.
Right. It doesn't happen often. So this past Friday, our justice system actually nailed it. So DeAndre Harris, let's think back to last fall in Charlottesville. There was that Unite the Right Valley where all these angry white people showed up with their tiki torches and some other dumb shit. They weren't really very good about it. Anyway, there was all kinds of things that happened, including Heather Heyer, who lost her life when she was run over by an angry white supremacist. And so again, thoughts to her mom and her family. Still prayers with them. So that was the rally in Charlottesville. And during that rally, this man named DeAndre Harris, if I could read today, you guys. He was brutally beaten during this rally, but he was actually found not guilty of assaulting a white nationalist. And so you might be asking like how we got to that, right? Like he got beat up. So how did he get accused of beating up a white nationalist? I'm going to tell you. So he was there, Harris, he was there counter-protesting at the rally, and he was cornered and attacked by a group of white supremacists in a parking garage. Mind you, this parking garage was right next to the police station, okay? So he sustained multiple injuries, including a broken wrist, and he had ended up having to get staples in his head. However, he was charged with felony counts as well as a misdemeanor of assault following his own beating, okay? So the felony charges were actually dropped very quickly, but he was still forced to stand trial for the misdemeanor offense. So on the same day that he went to trial, he was actually immediately acquitted, which was really pleasant. So the general district court judge, his name is pretty funny. The judge's name is Robert Downer Jr., not Downey, Robert Downer. I'm dumb, and I think that's pretty funny. Right. Anyway, he found Harris, who was only 20 years old, he found him not guilty. If he had been convicted, he would have faced up to 12 months in prison, along with a $2,500 fine for allegedly striking Harold Cruz, who is a North Carolina attorney and state chairman of the League of the South, which is a white supremacist group. Okay, so what happened was that there was a scuffle between Harris, another person, and the white supremacist Cruz. So what happened was Cruz and the other person were kind of fighting over this flag post that Cruz, the white supremacist guy, was essentially trying to beat this person with. And so they got into a scuffle of them trying to get rid of the flagpole. And Harris went to help the counter protester, and he had a flashlight in his hand because he got it actually he didn't have it as a weapon. He had it for the rally itself. And he he was trying to get rid of the flagpole and ended up hitting Cruz, right? So he never intended to really hit him. But then a minute later, after they were, grappling over the pole, they all just let it go, whatever. He was walking away, and then all these white supremacists cornered him in the garage and beat him up. So still, even though he got attacked, the police still thought it was functionally accurate to then charge him with assault of another human being when he didn't actually really do anything. So long story short, super annoying that even happened, right? Like, let's just ignore the fact that somehow this man was still even charged with the misdemeanor. We're to shout out to the judge, who actually was very candid about saying, like, this is some dumb shit, basically. You guys are ridiculous. Right. This was bad behavior on the hand of the police, along with obviously the white supremacist people who were there for the rally, who were being extremely violent. And so he was very scathing about it, which I can appreciate, because for once, which almost never happens, are the odds in our favor. So
right.
Shout out to you, DeAndre Harris. Shout out to you, Judge Robert Downey Jr., even though that's not your name. It's not Robert Downer Jr.
Downey.
I'm going to say Downey. Yeah,
Downey's
Robert Downey
pretty
Jr.
nice looking white guy.
I know.
Didn't he use blackface, though?
Who?
Robert Downey Jr. Who is that?
Robert Downey Jr. He's an actor. If you're talking about Tropic Thunder, he didn't use blackface per se. I think that's the only. Yeah, I feel like that's like the only movie in which I could say it's not quite offended, because he was playing. I think he's like, what is it? He's playing a black guy. He's a white guy playing a black guy who doesn't know that he's a black guy, or some other dumb shit like that. And that movie is hilarious. And so like, we're gonna let that one slide for Iron Man.
But whatever, you know what I'm saying?
We can talk about that at a later date.
But now, yes.
I see you over there reading articles, so I know you got the sauce.
I was trying to refresh my brain.
Right, you got some things to say. So I'm gonna sip my cup over here, and I'm gonna let you live your life.
I sipped. So essentially, this week in Katy Perry's, Katy Perry's lips are very crusty. So
I hate her.
She's currently a judge on American Idol. Or whatever. So apparently Benjamin Glaze, he's a 19-year-old. Right, I can't believe it's still on. It's like hella weird. And so Benjamin Glaze, he's from Oklahoma. He's 19, and he expressed that he's never been kissed before. He's never been kissed before. So he talked about that before he auditioned. And so Katy Perry was like, "Oh, come here," right? So then she like pretty much tells him to like give her a kiss on the cheek. She gives him a kiss on the cheek, and then he gives her a kiss on the cheek. She says, "Do it again." And then when he does it a second time, she moves her face so then he can kiss her on the lips. She kissed him. Yeah, so essentially, it's fine. So essentially, she's like, he had already said like, "I've never been kissed before. I want this to be a special thing for whenever I get into a relationship."
Right.
He's very conservative, blah, blah, blah. And so a lot of people aren't taking this as some sort of sexual assault. But if we put the shoe on the other foot, if she was the 19-year-old that was trying to audition for American Idol and he was his judge and kissed her, people will be in uproar. And so that pisses me off. Like, you can't, like, you literally assaulted him because he told you that he wanted to save this special moment. Now, he personally didn't look at it as she was sexually assaulting him. He spoke about it on social media. It was just a thing that took him aback. He talked to like friends about it and stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh no, it doesn't really count because like you didn't like really kiss her back." But it was really stupid. Like, because they were trying to make him feel better that like, oh, it could still, your first kiss can still count once you get in a relationship.
Oh, I see.
But the fact of the matter is that she was inappropriate. Like, you know what I'm saying? She was inappropriate, and had she been a man and the roles were reversed, we would be in an uproar about it. And people need to take take it seriously more that men are sexually assaulted. Like,
it's not a joke.
Yeah, we've talked about before, reading in comments on Facebook, and women were like, "So what would you do if you was in the bed with your dude and he didn't want to have sex with you, you were naked or whatever, and he didn't want to have sex with you?" Yeah, I'll take it, or I'll kick him out and blah 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 blah. But if that was you, we'd be like, "Nah, me too." Right. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's just, people need to really like think about that. As far as like sexual assault and that sort of thing, because that stuff that really does piss me off. Like, honestly, for example, I will move along swiftly, but I watched the episode it was like, what was it, on Vlad TV? It was like one of those stations.
Things for boys.
Yeah, and it was like Charlemagne the God was on there, and he was talking about how he was pretty much molested when he was a kid, when he was like 8, and it was his I think it was his uncle's wife or something like that, like his It was like his aunt or something like that, and but by marriage or whatever. So she was giving him head and all this other stuff. Yeah, and he was a kid or whatever, and so then he didn't look at it as obviously her violating him, but he wanted her to stop when she got a jerry curl because he didn't like the way her hair smelled. And so then she was like, if you tell on me, she tried to like threaten him, and then she started telling him he was ugly and things like that as a kid or whatever. So things like that. So, and he didn't realize until he got older, because like for guys, it's like, oh, my teachers was fine, I would sleep with them, blah blah blah.
That's the norm.
Yeah,
people
and he
think
was
that's cool.
Mm-hmm. And he was like he's like in his mid-30s now, and he's like, I didn't really realize until recently that I was molested. Like, you know what I mean? And it sucks because, back in the day, and even still, like, boys are losing their virginities hella early to, like, older women.
Absolutely.
And so women can sexually assault men, so that's very disheartening.
Absolutely.
I kind of want to keep on the line of sexual assault. We spoke about Terry Crews, who was assaulted by an actual like Hollywood agent or somebody that has that's like a big wig in Hollywood, this white guy.
Right.
And so essentially he was at a party, just to recap, he was at a party with his wife, a Hollywood party, and the guy sexually assaulted him in front of his wife. Like, I guess he grabbed him or something like that. So Terry Crews recently decided to muster up the courage and to say that, he too had been assaulted. And so he pretty much, he took it to the authorities.
Right.
And recently the LA County District Attorney rejected his complaint.
What?
After saying that his alleged conduct could not be considered a felony. And so,
a misdemeanor? So the DA reached the decision because Bennett, who is the offender, did not make contact with the victim's skin when he grabbed his genitals. What?
So that's what they're saying. That's why they're denying him. And what kills me though is like, again, it's like people say, like, don't make this a race issue, but it's like, this is a black man who had the courage, and a lot of men do not step out and say that they've been assaulted for various reasons.
Right.
And so we have women who have been allegedly sexually assaulted in the 70s.
Right.
Coming out telling their stories, and nobody is like, well, people do be like, oh, they're probably lying, this, that, and the third, but there's so much more sympathy for them. This happened to him recently. And so for the DA to say, in the district attorney, the same thing, but the DA to say, we're not going to count this because it can't be considered, a felony because he didn't actually touch his skin. So he had to reach into his pants and grab his situation for him to count. For him to be violated. And I'm like, again, like, this is another instance where the system has failed sexual assault victims. Like, the fact that he, put himself out there like that, and so that's just really frustrating. We're going to keep following the story. But also shout out to Old Spice, because Old Spice sent like a letter of support to Terry Crews. He's one of like their representatives, one of the spokespeople. So they sent out a letter of support for that. But I just think that it's like, again, the system has failed another sexual assault victim. It's really sad because it happens to be a black male. And we know historically males in general do not speak out about sexual assault. So I really hope that doesn't discourage other men from doing that. Because I'm like, if somebody really told me, oh, he didn't touch your skin, so he didn't sexually assault you.
Like, we could really bang.
Like, it would be a thing. Like, it would be a march. Like, it would be all hell would break loose.
Yeah, because that's not going to work.
Right. It's ridiculous. So
we have to take it seriously for everybody. I didn't mean to cut you off. But,
yeah, no, you're good. And I really think, like, it's a question of, will Terry Crews ever get justice?
Probably not.
Probably not from the system. But karma is a hell of a thing.
Right.
So we just definitely thoughts and prayers out to Terry Crews, because that's a lot. That's a lot. That's very challenging on his masculinity, him being a father and a husband, and for him to step out like that. And then to get rejected is just wild.
I just think people are really just one-sided, just really despicable to the way that they think about sexual assault in such a way that it can only be for women. And it's interesting that you said that you were watching the Charmaine thing, because first thing, I think Katy Perry is despicable because she heard what that young kid said about why he was saving his first kiss or why it was important to him. Right. And then she thought that she was entitled to steal that from him. And that's really a very common theme. Like, and you think that shit is a joke. Like, that's not funny. Right? That's important to someone. That's not a joke. And she thought it was hilarious. And like, you're literally a monster, just despicable. So I already don't like Katy Perry, but I was really, really sickened watching that clip. Like, she just like didn't even give a fuck about what she was doing.
Right.
And then secondly, I was listening to this podcast over the weekend that was, a friend of mine was like, oh, like you should listen to it. They're like really funny. They're from New York, blah, blah, blah. And I literally don't even remember the name of the podcast. And if I remember it again, I'll tell you what it is. But anyway, it's like these two guys and they're very, New York, Bronx, like very, like nigga-ass niggas, basically.
Oh, you're talking about Jesus and Meryl?
I don't think it was them, though. That doesn't sound like the same name. I'm going to look on my phone. But anyway, on one of the episodes, one of the guys on the show was saying that he doesn't think that men can be raped. And he was like, if you're a man and you got raped, like you wanted to be raped. And he was like,
oh, but if that happens to your son, then what's up?
Yeah, he was like, if you're a man he was like, and you got raped, like you just must be gay because there's no way that another man can force himself on you. And the other person was like, what? And he was like, you're a man. He's like, you're strong enough to defend yourself, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like what? I actually literally stopped listening to the podcast once I heard him say that because that's not funny. That's not a joke to me. Like, so what you're saying is that all the men in jail who get assaulted or raped by other prison inmates, like, so they all must be gay or that rape doesn't exist. Like, that's not a thing. Like, fuck out of here. Yes, it is.
If somebody violated your son, would you still be singing the same tune? Your son, your 10-year-old, 15-year-old son, would you be like, oh, son, well, I guess you're gay and you wanted to get raped?
Right, like, no, you would want justice for him, for the person to go to jail that attacked him. And so, I don't know, I just think that it's a really weird dynamic, and I think that we have to work as a community or even as a society in general to take men seriously because we, like men, I definitely will advocate for men on this point. I think that men it's like a double-edged sword for them, right? Because in the same sense, we say, you guys are not sensitive enough, you don't talk about your emotions, you're too hard, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Then when you have men who do talk about their emotions, then we say, oh, they're too sensitive, I don't want me a crybaby ass nigga, blah, blah, blah.
Right. And
or they come forward, right, and they're like, oh, no, you a punk, like, because something happened to you, or, you're not really a man if something happened to you. And it's like, what do you want, right? What kind of masculinity do you want? And for me, vulnerability is strength. So that is personally attractive to me, a man who can express himself and his feelings. But I think that it's a really difficult space for men to operate in. Like, what's
niggas talk big mess about stuff they don't know nothing about. Like, the loudest people that be talking hella ignorant don't even know how to spell. So
you're right, they don't. They be illiterate.
They don't. But we can't argue with dummies because we gonna get dumber.
We just gonna keep it rolling. Not gonna talk about these niggas no more.
Right. We're not even gonna get into it. Can we talk about Beige rage?
Yes.
As Charlamagne the God put it, I have been waiting for almost a good week to talk about this.
I just want to point out that I am not beige, so it has nothing to do with me.
She's hella beige.
I am caramel.
Like, so, some people might be offended by this. Sue me. So, like, there is, like, this stereotype, like, oh, stop acting so light-skinned. We make jokes about it, whatever. Some people it offends, some people it doesn't.
It's not that deep.
It's not. And so, essentially, DJ Envy from The Breakfast Club, anybody that knows me knows that I listen and watch The Breakfast Club religiously because I love who they interview. Like, they usually be having some really good interviews. And so, they start off, DJ Envy starts off, he's the DJ on the show. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God.
Okay.
So this time on the show, they had Deezus and Mero. And Deezus and Mero, they've had like their own like YouTube show, I believe, podcast and blah, 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 blah. And whatever. And so DJ Envy had a vendetta against them because apparently, so just a background story.
Okay.
DJ Envy years ago cheated on his wife with Erica Mena, who's like a reality star and blah, blah, blah. I will first say that I don't appreciate how, like, because he was really in the the doghouse with his wife after he cheated on her. So he goes on the radio and like admits that he cheated on his wife, blah, blah, blah. But what I didn't appreciate is that he dragged Erica through the mud. Like, he's like, I cheated on her with like this scum of a woman. She didn't mean anything, blah, blah, blah. But she meant something when you was giving it to her.
Right.
So it's just like, why are you dragging her through you're dragging her through the mud because
she slept with you?
Yeah, because she slept with you. Is that going to make your wife feel better? No, you should be dragging your own self through the mud, my dog. Right. And so essentially I think he, to this day, he still feels hella guilty about it because it became very public.
And he should feel guilty. Yeah. You cheated on your wife.
Right. And so what happened was the reason why he's beefing with Deezus and Mero is because they have a social commentary show, so they hold no bars against anybody. You do something stupid, they're going to talk about you. It don't matter.
Right.
Just as the Breakfast Club does, which is very selective because DJ Envy wouldn't go in on anybody else. He wouldn't go in on Birdman or anybody else.
Right, because he's a punk.
He's being a punk
with no Birdman.
Right. And so then they were talking about how he was on the Real with his wife and talked about how he had cheated on his wife. And he said, he said, at home, I'm Rashawn, but in the streets, I'm DJ Envy. So I don't know, in the streets, first of all, your dad was a police officer. Calm down. In the streets. And you're old, and you didn't grow up in the hood, so stop.
Go home.
And so essentially, she was his wife. Make a long story short, his wife was talking about how she had, hired a divorce lawyer, had prepared their kids. They have hella kids, prepared their kids. Like, she was about to divorce him. Like, she was over him because they had been together since they were teenagers.
Right.
And so then Jesus, he's, he's like the darker skinned one out of the pair.
Okay.
Which has nothing to do with it. I'm just saying that just
giving
you context. Jesus said, "Oh, I bet." She said, because I didn't know DJ Envy, I knew Rashawn, and she was like, "I bet you she knew those DJ Envy checks though." So DJ Envy got hella all in his feelings and was like, he's like, "You implied that my wife is just here for the money. This is that and the third. Don't disrespect my wife and blah 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 blah."
Right.
And don't imply that she's been with me since I was a kid and this that. And so Jesus and Meryl were like, because he started off the show off, he said,
let's get to it.
Yeah, he said because usually DJ Envy is like, good morning, it's the Breakfast Club. You got DJ Envy, Angela Yee, and Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. Blah blah. I know his whole script. He said, today we have some special guests in the building. Usually he said special guests. This time he said we have guests in the building, and he called them pussy and dickhead. And so we were like,
he said that?
He said that when he first started the show. And so everybody was like, everybody was like, what is going on, right? So they were like, okay, so we're beefing, right? So they were taken aback, and so they were like, he's like, you could talk about me all you want, but don't talk about my wife, blah blah blah. So Jesus and Meryl were like, bro, like, we didn't think it was that deep, but you know what I'm saying? And then he was saying to Meryl, who's married, he's like, you should know better, you have a wife and kids. Meryl didn't even say anything, and what Jesus said wasn't even that deep. So he was like, you should know better.
It's jokes.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. He's like, it's jokes. And so they apologized. We were like, okay, man, we know next time to not, like, say anything, and which is
Jesus
fair.
was like, we're just never gonna make no jokes about you ever again. We just never talk about you.
And so but then Jesus was really in his feelings, but he was like saying essentially, like, you know what I'm saying, like, okay, we won't say anything, but then they were pissed because they're like, don't try to press us when the cameras are here, because you certainly could have picked up the phone and called us and talked about this, that, and the third or whatever.
Right, because you sure could have.
Right, and so then, to make matters worse, so we're thinking everybody that's watching is thinking that he's over it. Like 10 or 15 minutes into the interview, my nigga DJ Envy walks out of the interview. I was like, that is so beige.
He doesn't say anything.
He doesn't say anything. He just gets up and walks out.
Like, he said enough.
Right. And of course, Charlamagne the God, he's trash. He just starts laughing. He was like, yo, what happened? Like, he's hella messy, but I love it. Yeah. And so, like, essentially what I got from that is, first of all, he was in a beige rage and hella sensitive for no
beige
reason.
Rage meter going up.
Right. It was like hella high. And so my thoughts on it are like, I get defend your family at all costs. I really don't think that was that deep.
Yeah.
But it leads me to the question of, so he said, this is what DJ Amy said. He said, I want you guys owe my wife a public apology or whatever. So they apologize. Right. But then he still walks out. And so this is my thing here. So one,
let's
what are the lengths that you'll go to what's the word, to defend your partner or spouse or whatever. And then also, it's like, my nigga, once you ask for a real apology and people give it to you, like, where's your forgiveness level at? Like, are you really still that mad?
Right. Like, what else do you need?
Right.
Especially because all they did was make a joke. They didn't call her no hoe. They didn't call her out her name. They didn't say anything crazy. Like, yeah, he just made a joke, but like, we know them DJ Envy checks is still nice. So like, either way, you still gain money. So it's not like they said that much stuff about her. Like, he made one comment. I get that it's a little extra because he was saying, I remember we watched a little clip before we started recording, and so I remember him saying basically that he actually didn't have any money and she was holding him down for a lot of their relationship while he was like getting his shit together when he was getting on, like a lot of women do. And so he's like, so to even say or insinuate that she was with me for the check is out of line. And it's like, okay, I can understand that, right? You want to make sure that people know, like, you didn't just get this woman off the street, like, she's been riding for you. So I absolutely understand that. But like, at some point, like, you gotta chill, dog. Like, they gonna flame you up regardless. What's crazy is that the entire basis of the Breakfast Club is to flame niggas up. So like, why are you so mad when they made one joke on their show that also flames people up? So it's just like, Like, you have to get over it. You can't dish it and then never be able to take it. Like, calm down.
Right. And yeah, and absolutely, he definitely blew things out of proportion. Like, and also that speaks to, like, you're projecting your own guilt about you cheating on your wife onto other people. Like, if your wife forgave you, then whatever, you need to let that go. But it's also a matter of, like, it's a learning lesson for people. If you come to somebody, you got an issue, you want to press them about an issue that you had, everything can be handled with a conversation. Not everything.
But most things.
Because if you disrespect my family, we ain't no conversation.
Right.
So, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of, like, there was no need for him to get extra hype because they were really like, yo, we didn't know that it was that deep. We apologize. But it's like a thing of, like, if somebody forget, you say, somebody gives you an apology or whatever, you need to let that go.
Right.
Don't go into beige rage. That goes for you, Makeda.
Stop!
Hella beige. So
I'm brown.
But at the end of the day, it was hella awkward. I was laughing at DJ MV quit being a punk. That's it. That's all I have to say about that. We're not going to go into this week of whose mama needs their behind whoop because I'm going to get really angry.
Okay,
and
we're just going to
skip it right along. Getting in my system. I'm like an emotional tipsy person. So I'm not even going to do it. But we will give you a quick update on Deshaun Horn. We talked about him like a couple months ago. He was a young man here in Washington that was brutally beaten with a baseball bat by a Samoan guy who thought, I guess apparently he spent the night with his sister and he beat him to a pulp with a bat, and it was just really bad in terms of like unconscious bleeding, like to the point where they had to take parts of his brain out to cut the swelling down, and he was in a coma for like I want to say like a month. And so the recent updates that we're seeing, because I've been following this story, he's been making great strides, great progress. As we've told you before, he's a son, he's a father, and a friend to many. And he and I have a lot of mutual friends. But he has been making great progress, making movements with his body, like literally like grabbing people's hands. He has a strong grip. He recently started smiling. And when he saw his brother, he tried to snatch his trach out. He tried to snatch his trach out because he wanted to talk. And he even like gave his brother a kiss like on his own. Aww. And so for it was just really interesting, very touching.
His brain is working.
Yeah, his brain is working, and it's very touching to just see that this young man is progressing. So continue to send prayers, continue to contribute to his GoFundMe if you can. Keep his family in your prayers. He has a 1-year-old son that he needs to get back to. So we're just hoping for a full recovery, 1,000%. And we're just believing that he's gonna walk out of there on his own.
And then we're gonna see that man go to jail for the rest of his life.
Yeah, for a hate crime. Yep. So yeah.
I have questions.
On that positive note, ask me some questions.
Okay. And shout out to you, Trell, even though you're gonna say all your questions. I always say, but you just have really good ones. Okay, so
let's talk about it because I just can't even.
So if your sister,
and I have two. Let's be clear.
I have one also. Okay?
Shiana and Symphony, don't try me.
So if your sister was getting married to your ex and asked you to be her maid of honor, would you do it?
I think I'm an owl. I'm an owl.
Jesus.
If my sister got married to my ex,
be a beacon.
We are fighting every time I see you.
Square up.
Because and then ask me to be your maid of honor, bro.
But you have to be your sister's maid of honor.
No, I don't. Because if you disrespect me that way, we gotta fight. Like, there's no way. Like, when my sisters aren't that stupid, I call them stupid sometimes. But I just out of anger or whatever, playful fighting. But no, we don't play that game. We gotta fight every time we see each other.
Ooh, Matt has a question.
What's disrespectful about it?
Ooh. If nobody could hear that,
not disrespectful
he raised
about
his hand.
it.
He said, if you guys can hear him, Matt said, "What is disrespectful about it?"
What is disrespectful about it? First of all, so you're my ex that I shared moments with, not only more intimate moments or whatever that means to you, intimate moments like that I have spent time with. Now you are going to marry this man and have his Johnson for the rest of your life.
Stop.
No, that's hella disrespectful. Like, exes are untouched. I feel like you and Matt are trying to attack me, and I'm not ready.
Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, you guys have heard on past episodes, I feel very strongly about people like my friends or my sister, or anybody like that I consider to be a really close friend of mine, dating like somebody that I've slept with or dating somebody that I've been with, like actual relationship. I feel really weird about that. However, my opinions on that have changed a little bit. Like just over time, they continue to change. And I realize I can't really have such extreme opinions on things. And my dad is talking about this a lot. And I've talked to other people about this. We've had this podcast, talking about this topic on the podcast has sparked so many conversations in my household. But here's the thing of what I think about when I hear that question. My parents, I've talked about them. Obviously, you guys know my parents have been together for like 40 years. My mom has a best friend. She's my
Do not blast your mama. Go ahead.
I won't. My mom has a best friend.
You.
My Auntie Anne. My Auntie Anne is my sister's godmother, like her actual godmother. I think she might also be my godmom. I'm not even sure. But anyway, she's at least my sister's godmother, okay? My Auntie Anne. Love her dearly. Love her to pieces, okay? And so my dad actually used to date my Auntie Anne.
Ooh.
Right?
What was
when they were
level?
younger. I don't know. I don't know how deep, but all I know is that my dad actually used to date my Auntie Anne. But my Auntie Anne was the one who realized that my dad and my mom were a better match and was like, if y'all just don't go ahead and date and just get it over with. Meanwhile, my parents had been together forever, but she dated my dad first, and they were friends.
What
all
age?
3 of them. I think they're maybe early 20s, because my parents met like in high school. And so what's interesting is like if my mom had felt so strongly, or my Auntie Anne was like, oh, I could never be friends with you or whatever, like either my sister and I wouldn't be here, right? If we had to like listen, if my mom listened to my Auntie Anne, if she like felt really strongly about my mom dating my dad or something like that, or I might not have my Auntie Anne in my life, right? They might have, fell apart and not been friends if they felt so strongly about that. And I think like, so I think to answer the question for myself personally, I think it would depend on like what kind of ex it was. Like if it was somebody that I just like met and I kind of spent time with, whatever, no big deal, I think it would be okay, versus like if it was somebody that I like was with for like years, because that in itself then like plants seeds of suspicion into your mind. It makes it really hard to trust somebody if it's like, okay, like I was with this nigga for 3 years and you all of a sudden you like him, like were you talking to him while we were together? Like were you guys sleeping together, et cetera, et cetera. So that itself is a problem, et cetera. Right, that starts issues. But if it was just like I knew this nigga and I went out with him one time, I don't really like him, like I don't care. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think
it's what's the
levels.
Level. So I'm essentially Shayana and Symphony, if you're listening.
Don't try that shit.
Don't ever try me.
Yeah, don't try that shit.
It sounds all well and good on paper.
Long story short, right.
Don't try me. Don't do it.
I think my parents are the exception, not the rule. Okay, don't try that at home.
That's a unique case, and I don't even think that me and my sisters are like attracted to the same dudes anyway.
I know.
Shout out to that. I think my little sister has beige rage, and my sister.
Yeah, so does my dad.
Yeah, we're not even attracted to the same people. So, but like I said, if something should fall upon your lap, don't try me.
Don't do it.
Okay. Girl, I have another question though.
Oh, I was gonna read it, but you can read it.
I didn't know how to read.
Okay, you read it.
Can you date somebody that you're not attracted to?
And by like not attracted to, do we mean like not sexually attracted to, or like?
Well, physically. Sure.
So sexually attracted to?
I would say both is physically and sexually.
Because I feel like I could think somebody's like hella good looking, like fine as hell, but then like not be attracted to them. So I guess, yeah.
I don't get it. Like, what do you mean?
Like I can think somebody is like really good looking.
Right.
But then I'm just like not attracted to them. Just because you think somebody's good looking doesn't mean that you're like attracted to them in the sense like, I want to date them, or I want to pursue that. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like there are plenty of men around here that I think are good looking, but like never in my life would I even think about. Like
not a chance.
Right. So could I date somebody that I'm not attracted to? I feel like if I met somebody that was like, oh, like he's hella cute and he's trying to talk to me, blah, 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 and he's like, oh, let's hang out. I'm like, great, like let's do that. And we go on a date. And I'm like, oh, okay, like that's fun. And like,
okay.
Right. And I'm like, okay, let's do that. And then we have a good time. And I'm like, okay, great. But like I'm not feeling it. Like you're not somebody that I could like see myself being sexually attracted to, or like taking it further. Could I go on another date with them? Like probably.
You trying to get those free meals?
Maybe, but I don't think I could do it long term because I would start to feel bad. So I feel like
I know
I like to give people like
second plate of Thai food, man.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like I kind of try to give people like a second try. I definitely don't like to just like outright be like, okay, like terrible. Unless it was like a terrible first date, because I feel like sometimes people are shy. You know, it takes time to like let people in so you can kind of get to know somebody. So I definitely have like gone on a couple of dates with someone and then figured out like not really that interested.
Right.
But I feel like you got to give some things some time because you're not everybody are you going to, have the hots for it off rip. And you
not the hots for your hello.
You know what I'm saying?
That's making you hello.
I know.
I have the hots
also.
for them.
Maybe it's because I'm hot. But like, you know what I mean? You could like somebody and then it takes a little bit. And then like over time you build that like ferocious attraction or whatever you want to call it.
Ferocious attraction. That sounds like a bear hunt.
That's how I like them. So I don't know. I think it depends.
Yeah. So essentially, I will put it like this. So I have the keen magic ability to make any nigga look cute. Okay.
Ooh.
It's because the thing is, I have my types. I have my attraction. Even the ugly niggas, if they play the cards right. Shout out to Mac and those ugly nigga guidelines. Play your cards right. An ugly nigga with confidence can be a good and bad thing.
Okay.
I will say that. But if I wasn't attracted to you in some form or fashion, that's hard. Like, I would just be honest. Like, that's hard to like date you.
Yeah,
like,
we can be friends.
Yeah, like if I'm not attracted to you, that is really hard. But if you're like a good person and like you have a great attitude and you're funny, we could work something out, bruh. But for the most part, just follow the ugly nigga guidelines if you got them. But at the end of the day, we all ugly to somebody. So there's that.
I'm cute universally. I don't know what you're talking about. So before we go, and before Matt yells at us some more,
because we're gonna body slam Matt.
We've got our local lookout, and if you guys were looking at he's flexing. If you guys have looked at any of our social media today, which means Tuesday, so yesterday, because today's Monday, today Sierra and I both shared an article that we were featured in by Boss Up magazine. So they are our local. I am. Oh, sorry. I wanted to hold your hand. Give me your hand back. Okay. We were featured on Boss Up magazine this week, and you can find them obviously at bossupmag.org. Exactly what it sounds like. And the same thing for their Instagram at Boss Up Mag. And so basically they were created in 2017 and their purpose was to promote and celebrate Black entrepreneurs, businesses, and orgs. And so, us, a podcast, okay? And so basically their mission is they address the idea that it can be really hard for people of color, wow, you guys, I cannot talk, to get support and recognition of their successes or like their initiatives in order to be successful. So they try to go ahead and feature new or up and coming businesses, podcasts, artists, all kind of things. Hint to the podcast again. That's why you can find us. You know what I'm saying? And so they try to shout us out, people like us and other businesses, and make sure that where you can find their merch or their talent or anything that they're obviously producing, and they put them in one central place for you to find. And so, like I said, that's Boss Up Magazine, and we will of course put the link to our feature this month in our, what do you call it? What is it? The info?
In the box. Check the box.
In the bio. Yeah. In the bio.
In the box.
And with that, I'm pretty positive we have nothing else for you guys except I hope that you enjoy watching us on camera. And I hope that we're going to get less and less weird as we get used to the camera.
As she holds my hand. Okay. Oh, this is weird.
Bye.
All right. Bye, guys. Love you. See you next week. Get off me.